Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to App Growth Week, Day 5. On my panel today, I am happy to talk about Born to Succeed, how to supercharge your app for growth faster on a pre-launch stage. I am super excited to be sitting here with Sarah Tuimi, ASO Manager at AppTweak, Anastasia Barankova, Senior ASO Specialist at Prequel, and our very own special Natalie Tishkovich, Senior Customer Success Manager here at SplitMetrics. Good morning, happy Friday. Great to see all of you.
Hi, Eric. Great to see you
Hello.
too.
Hi, nice to see you.
Hey, good morning.
Thanks for being here. We're looking for some great insight from you people today. Cool, so we're gonna learn today from everyone about generic tips for creating a pre-launch app strategy. So while I was getting ready for this panel discussion, I found that 3,739 apps are added to the Play Store every day. There's also over 160,000 apps launched every month on the Google Play and iOS store. Crazy, insane numbers. Some developers definitely face higher barriers to entry than others. Lifestyle, gaming, shopping, and productivity app categories dominate the space with a wide, huge variety of features, making it really difficult to kind of cut through the clutter. Sarah, based upon your observations, what pre-launch ideas can mobile app developers and publishers start to consider for 2023 and beyond?
Well, Eric, based on basically my observations and experience with working with my clients, I've seen a lot in the past few years or the past year, people doing a lot of social media, doing a lot of influencer marketing, newsletters. But I think when I think of 2023 and beyond, I think that app developers and publishers should first really consider making their app or game available in pre-order on Apple or pre-registration on Google Play, because those can really create a big burst of downloads as soon as the first day of the launch. And in parallel, they can literally create a landing page like we've seen in the past, like a landing page or website, where they really provide a direct URL to those pre-order or pre-registration product pages to really encourage their audience to visit the stores. And that link can be also put on social media, in their newsletters, provided to influencers, etc. So I think that is very important. When it comes really to 2023 and beyond, for me, I find Google Play more interesting than iOS. Because on Google Play, you can create a custom store listing that basically targets pre-register users, and that could help boost conversions. And specifically for games, I would say also use live ops. So there's something about live ops for pre-registration announcements to really just excite the pre-register users and just increase the hype around your game, which is interesting. And I think the last one I would say we should remember is also offer any pre-order or pre-registration awards or discounts. I remember back in 2021, there's a game called Crash Bandicoot that was an endless running game, and I remember them offering a character skin for pre-orders users, and that pretty much incited me to download the game. So I think that's a method that could be very effective for a lot of apps and games in diverse verticals.
Increase the hype. Let's talk about some market research. An effective app marketing plan begins with understanding your users as well as your competitors. Today, there are over 7 million available apps across iOS and Android platforms, extending to every app, every game genre, and also every single niche. Obviously, while doing my market research, you have to focus on apps that are closest to your own app's core value proposition. Anastasia, what will be your tips for mobile app developers and publishers doing their pre-launch market research? How can they identify main competitors, and what should they be analyzing in the first place?
Thank you. That's a great question.
So for anyone who is doing a pre-launch market research, I believe that it's important to look at the future customers. From what I've seen, this step is often neglected. However, the knowledge we will get from it will come in handy in many different stages of production. So what would I advise to start with is understand who are your desired customers. What is their age? What do they do? Where do they live? What do they do for fun? The second question is, what are their pains? What problems do they have? Which things they would love to do differently? And finally, it's very important to understand what would they gain from using your app or playing your game. What is the value you are proposing to them? Which problem or your app or game is solving and how it's solved. Now that you understood your customers, you could use this knowledge to understand your competitive universe and identify the main competitors. And this is not as straightforward as you could think. Like, let's take an example of how you can use that. For a match-free game, one of user goals might be, for example, kill time while commuting. But they won't necessarily opt for your direct competitor match-free game. They may opt for a strategy game or maybe just listen to music, because this solves the same problem. So how could you compete with them? You could provide something they don't have. For example, the music app won't allow your user to communicate with other people. So you can take that into consideration. Other example, a groceries list app might be replaced by a list written on a paper, because it's, again, solves the same problem. How could you increase the value of your app? Maybe provide some additional information about supermarkets or products. Or target the younger audience, which is more likely to use the mobile phone as a decision to all their problems.
Yeah.
Analysis of those direct and indirect competitors will help you to shape the value you're proposing to your end customers, as well as tailor your marketing strategy. So there goes the main tip. While doing a market pre-launch research, you should always include a stage when you look at the market from your customer's point of view.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about target audience. One of the first things to be very clear on when you're developing your own app or marketing strategy is who that target audience is. Target users should be at the center of everything that you do, from design and user experience in the app, all the way through marketing plans that you create to draw your own brand awareness. Natalie, how mobile app developers and publishers, how do they accurately define their target audience for their mobile apps at pre-launch?
I'm SplitMetrics optimized, so I'll say A/B test. App publishers can start their testing process at different stages of development, market research, prototyping, etc. But the best way of understanding which audience segment is the most converting one is testing on the pre-launch stage, or even when the app or game is not in production yet. So SplitMetrics gives you this wonderful opportunity of creating emulated app pages when the app or game doesn't even exist. And the easiest way to check the visitor's behavior would be running a one variation experiment for a certain audience group or several groups. And you need on average 1-2K visitors in order to evaluate the metrics, because it's not only about the conversion rate. And actually, you can test your audiences at every stage and in every experiment along with your other hypotheses. Using UTM parameters, you can just set up several ad campaigns and then filter by campaign name in order to see the data for this particular piece of audience. And it's very important to understand that you need at least 1K visitors per audience group, per variation, in order to get a relevant result. And I want to share a client case. So we had a client in the social networking category, and they wanted to make a messenger for teenagers. And however, the very first experiment showed a really low conversion rate. And then we suggested them start testing for different age groups. And we found out that 25 plus liked the app a lot more than the teenagers did. So the best would be to create a strategy and be ready to adjust the next steps according to the results of the previous experiments. And I would say it's like a really hard and step-by-step work, but keep trying and you can get up to 20% uplift.
Amazing points. Really, really good points. I do want to talk about pre-launch keyword strategy. It's essential that you execute high quality keyword research before launching your app. You obviously increase your chances of visibility and conversion rate once this app is market ready. Sarah, what are your recommendations for defining app pre-launch keyword strategy?
That's something that we do a lot and we really recommend our clients to do. Is really to prepare for your keyword strategy. And the first thing we do recommend is to think of your title first. So conduct a title analysis. Even though you have a brand name that is already defined, or even like for games, sometimes they don't even know what the title of the game is going to be. It's super important to do that research, that search research, and to understand what keywords are you going to add to your title, whether it is as an extension of your brand name or just like you need to find a whole new title that would drive really traffic to your app, like search traffic. So you need to find high relevant keyword, like high volume relevant keywords, but also keywords that the algorithm associates to your app or game. And this applies pretty much to any like text field that you have there in your metadata, if it's title, subtitles, or description, any of it, you really have to make sure that whatever keywords you have there, I highly search, are like really relevant to your app and describe well your app, that they are also, like I said, the algorithm associate them to your app. But most importantly, a way to do that is really to first create a list of keywords. It can be keywords that come to your mind when you're thinking about what your app is or game is going to be, or even like Anastasia said earlier, spy on your competitors to understand what is like your future competitors, to understand, okay, what keywords are they currently using that works for them, how are they ranking, and a way to really understand which keywords is best for you. I would say it's to look at the search results on a specific keywords. At the top, let's say 10 apps ranking on that keywords, and see if those apps are actually similar to the type of apps or game that you're like planning to launch or not, and how strong are those apps to really set expectations for your own app and game. And just to illustrate that, I think an example would be, I was working on a running training app, and we were hesitating between using the keyword running or run. And by doing an analysis, we found that the keyword running was, by the algorithm on Apple, really associated to running training apps, but that the keyword run was mostly associated to running games. So that's just an example of the importance of really doing a keyword research to make sure that your game is or your app are targeting the right keywords, and the best opportunity keywords, basically.
Amazing. Very valuable insights. Thank you for sharing. I want to talk about creative trends. Both the App Store and the Google Play Store use first-time install conversion rates as a metric that influence their algorithms, as well as that it decides which apps to highlight to its users. Anastasia, how do you make sure your product page is optimized for the highest possible conversion rate? What creative trends would you recommend looking out for the year 2023?
One more amazing question. Honestly, conversion rate is my favorite thing to work with. And there are some tips I'm always looking out for. So the first one is make sure that the font on your screenshot is readable and big enough, because screenshots on Google Play are small as it is, and we like have only 3 seconds of user attention to say something important to them. And that brings us to the second tip, is clarity of the message. So your message should be easy to understand, and make sure you use the language your customers prefer. Third tip is use easy to follow design mockup. Try to show things that make your app special in a clear and understandable way. And personally, I would recommend to get rid of devices pictures used as frames, because they are, unless they're strictly unnecessary, because they take space and they're redundant. And fourth tip is call to action. It might be considered old, but it's working very well both on texts and on screenshots. The fifth tip, and that's probably the most difficult one, it's consistency of the brand image of your app and game, because if you're aiming to create a stable long-term business, start branding early. try to make sure that your marketing is as consistent as possible across all the possible channels and build relationship with the users on early stage. And main trends I would like to highlight in 2023. The first one is creation of the consistent user journey. From outside of the store through advertisement or landing page to the app page, which now can be customized, to the onboarding inside the app. Look out for the possibilities to make it connected and tailored for your user. The second trend I'm personally in love with is culturalization of the creative, so we can adopt them to different groups of users. Because we all know that beautiful screenshots, which might work very well in one country, won't necessarily work in the other, even if translated. So now that then globalization is facing a challenge from the people turning out to their own culture, it's a great time to try to adapt your marketing materials to those different cultures. The best example of that is working with Asian market, because we all know very well how important it is to tailor our creative to that market, but countries in Europe are different as well. So basically customization in the all possible ways is now very important.
Amazing. And thank you so much for sharing. So success metrics and benchmarks. So I'd like to briefly share your top criteria for a success mobile app launch. Which metrics matter the most to you on this stage, and what ensures your mobile apps become a success? Let's start off with Anastasia.
Well, my metric is amount of the touch point with the users through advertisement, promotion inside the app store, website, social network, events, etc. As mobile industry grows and competition tightens, it's very important to start looking beyond the stores.
Perfect. Thank you. Natalie, what's your insight?
Of course, conversion rate, but you need to pay attention to the performance of the full funnel at the very early stages. So you need to make sure that your ad creatives correspond to the content of the app listing as well. So pay attention to the bounce rate and direct installs rate. These metrics tell you everything about the visitor's behavior within the first few seconds on the page. So when the visitors leave the page without any interaction with it, that means that the ad creatives don't correspond to the content of the product page, and you just need to adjust your audience settings or even change your ad creative. And when the direct installs rate is high, that means that the audience really like your app page, and they just don't need to scroll through the gallery to make a decision to click on get. So it's really important.
And the final 25 seconds, Sarah, what's your thought process on this?
Well, I agree with Natalie. I mean, retention rate and engagement rate are obviously, of course, you want to ensure these look healthy enough before you start scaling media spend. But at the same time, you have to be aware that they might not reflect your users on the medium long term. So I think for me, I will stick to downloads because it impacts everything else. If you want to ensure that your mobile app becomes a success, then you need your traffic to convert. Otherwise, it is not a good sign. So for me, other metrics like also bounce rate or conversion, they're good metrics, and they will help me understand what is performing or not. But for me, I would definitely stick to downloads to measure success.
Sarah, Anastasia, Natalie, thank you so much for taking part on this panel. Thank you so much. You guys have an amazing Friday.
Thank you.